Welcome to the Inspirational Bible Bites podcast, where we dive into all sorts of Christian life issues and everyday stuff relevant to both Christian men and women.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm David, and this is Barbara.
Hi, everybody.
And this is episode number 14.
14 already. Wow.
I know, right?
Time flies.
So many of you have been asking about this, and we thought it was high time we addressed it. What does the Bible say about gambling?
It's a really common question. We get a lot of emails and messages about this topic.
So we're going to take a deep dive into what the Bible has to say about gambling.
That's right. And we're going to look at the principles that are at play here and how those principles might apply to your life.
Exactly, because like with so many things, the Bible doesn't always give us a straight yes or no answer.
Right.
It's more about understanding the principles behind the issue.
Right. And applying those principles to your life.
Yeah, so the first and most obvious question is, does the Bible just flat out say, thou shalt not gamble?
Well, it's interesting. The Bible doesn't explicitly say, do not gamble. You won't find that exact phrase.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we can just assume it's okay.
Right.
Because we have to look at what else the Bible says about related topics and the warnings that it gives.
So what are some of those key biblical ideas that can help us figure this out?
Well, one of the biggest ones is the Bible's warning about the love of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, it says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil."
Wow, a root of all kinds of evil. That's pretty strong.
It is. It's a very strong warning.
And, it makes you think, because a lot of times when people gamble, it's because they want to get rich quick, right?
Absolutely. That's a huge motivator. And the desire for instant wealth, it really clashes with this idea of not loving money too much.
Yeah, because it puts money at the center.
Exactly. And it can become like the most important thing in your life.
Right, and that's something the Bible warns against again and again.
Exactly.
In fact, you even have verses about get-rich-quick schemes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Bible talks about the dangers of chasing easy money.
Yeah, like Proverbs chapter 13, verse 11, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it.
That's a good one.
Or how about Proverbs 23, verse 5, cast but a glance at riches, and they are gone, for they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle.
Yeah, those verses are a good reminder that riches gained quickly often disappear just as fast.
Right, it's not a solid foundation.
Nope.
And then there's Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income.
Right, it's like a constant craving for more and more.
Always wanting more, never being content.
Exactly.
And gambling really seems to fit into that kind of thinking, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the ultimate get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah, you're trying to get something for nothing.
Right, and it goes against this whole idea of working hard and earning a living.
That's another really important point. The Bible puts a lot of emphasis on honest work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10, the one who is unwilling to work shall not eat.
Right. And Proverbs 14, verse 23, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty.
So hard work has value.
Yes.
And trying to get around that by gambling, it doesn't really sit well with those principles.
Right. It kind of undermines the whole idea of working hard.
Yeah, but, some people might say, hey, I just gamble for fun, just a little bit here and there.
Right.
Like, they'll say it's like buying a movie ticket or going out for a nice meal. Just a bit of entertainment.
Yeah, I can see that perspective. I mean, it is a way to spend your money, and you have to choose how you want to spend it.
Right.
But even if you see it just as entertainment, you have to think about where your money is going. Is it going towards something that's going to last, or is it just a fleeting pleasure?
Right.
And wouldn't it be better to use that money to help others or to save for your future?
Yeah, that's a good point. And with gambling, there's also the risk of losing even more money.
Exactly.
So it's not just a simple matter of spending on entertainment.
Right. It comes with a whole set of other issues.
Now, speaking of chance, the Bible does mention things like luck and chance, especially when it talks about casting lots.
That's true.
So how do those instances fit into this discussion?
Well, we have to be careful not to confuse casting lots with gambling in the way we think of it today.
Okay.
In the Bible, casting lots was often a way to seek God's will or to make a fair decision. Like in Leviticus chapter 16, verse 8, they used casting lots to decide which goat would be for the sacrifice.
Oh, right.
And Joshua chapter 18, verse 10, they cast lots to divide the land among the tribes.
I see.
And Nehemiah chapter 11, verse 1, they used it to choose who would live in Jerusalem.
So it was more about letting God decide or ensuring fairness.
Right. It wasn't about making money or betting on something.
And there's actually a verse in Proverbs that talks about this, Proverbs 16, verse 33. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord.
Exactly. So it's not just a random chance. It's about trusting in God's sovereignty.
And that's very different from what we see happening in casinos or with lotteries.
Absolutely.
Now, we do see one example of gambling in the Bible, and it's not a positive one.
You're talking about the Roman soldiers gambling for Jesus' clothes at the crucifixion?
Yeah, that's right in John chapter 19, verse 24.
It's a really stark image, and it shows how indifferent they were to Jesus' suffering.
It's definitely not presented as something to be admired.
Not at all.
So casting lots for a specific purpose, like seeking God's will, is not the same as gambling for personal gain.
That's right, there's a big difference.
And it's certainly not a justification for modern casino gambling.
Absolutely not.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the ethical implications of gambling.
Okay.
As Christians, we should always be thinking about whether our actions are right or wrong.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the moral questions we should be asking ourselves about gambling?
Well, one of the biggest issues is that gambling is a zero-sum game.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, for someone to win, someone else has to lose.
Oh, I see.
Your gain is directly dependent on someone else's loss.
And that raises a big question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it right for a Christian to try to profit from someone else's misfortune?
That's the heart of the ethical dilemma.
Because the Bible tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves.
Right.
And how can we love our neighbor if we're hoping they'll lose money so we can win?
It's a tough question, and it really challenges us to think about our motives.
Yeah, we can't just ignore the fact that someone is losing when we gamble.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about casinos and lotteries specifically.
Yeah, right.
These are the places where a lot of gambling happens.
Right.
So how do the principles we've been discussing apply to these environments?
Well, casinos are designed to keep you gambling.
Right.
They have all sorts of tricks to make you spend more money, like flashing lights and free drinks, and the odds are always in their favor.
Yeah, they're not in the business of giving away money.
Nope.
And then you have lotteries, which are often promoted as a way to fund good causes like education.
Right.
But there's still a form of gambling.
Absolutely.
And they rely on people hoping to get rich quick.
And unfortunately, it's often the people who can least afford it who are spending the most on lottery tickets.
Yeah, there was a survey by Bankrate back in October 2019 that showed this.
Mm-hmm.
It found that the poorest households were spending about 13% of their income on lottery tickets.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, compared to only 1% for the wealthiest households.
So it's actually hurting the people it's supposed to be helping.
Yeah, and when you think about how tiny the chances of winning the lottery are,
Right.
it really seems like it's preying on people's hopes.
Absolutely.
So when we step back and look at the big picture, how does gambling fit in with our commitment to serving God?
Well, we have to remember what the Bible says about money.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 Timothy 6.10, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil.
Right.
And Hebrews 13.5, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have.
Contentment, that's so important.
Yes, it is.
And these verses really challenge us to think about our priorities.
Absolutely.
And Jesus himself addressed this directly, didn't he?
He did in Matthew 6.24. He said, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money.
So we can't chase after wealth and serve God at the same time.
Right. We have to choose.
And if we choose God, then that should affect how we view things like gambling.
Definitely.
So what are the main takeaways here? What principles should Christians keep in mind when it comes to gambling?
Well, I think there are a few key things to remember.
Yep.
First, gambling often goes against the idea of being good stewards of our resources.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it encourages us to try to get rich quick instead of working hard and earning a living.
Yeah.
Third, it can lead to greed and covetousness.
Right, always wanting more.
Exactly. And finally, it often involves profiting from someone else's loss.
Which goes against the idea of loving our neighbor.
Absolutely. So when you consider all these things, it seems pretty clear that gambling is not something that aligns with biblical principles.
That's a really helpful summary, and it gives us a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for more insightful discussions like this, be sure to visit our website, inspirationalbiblebites.com,
That's right.
and check out our YouTube channel, Inspirational Bible Bites.
You'll find tons of great content there to help you grow in your faith.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope this deep dive has been helpful for you.
Me too.
Even though the Bible doesn't say thou shalt not gamble outright,
Right.
it does give us principles about money work and loving our neighbor that can guide us.
Exactly.
So as you go about your day, I want you to consider this.
Okay.
How might focusing on contentment and generosity instead of trying to get rich quick change your perspective on things like gambling?
That's a great question.
It's something to really ponder as you continue your walk of faith.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure talking with you all.
And don't forget to check out inspirationalbiblebites.com and our YouTube channel for more encouraging and insightful content.
We look forward to our next discussion together.
Take care.
Bye.